Okay, so do you ever see those blueberry muffins in the grocery store? Those really big, beautiful blueberry muffins with the big muffin top? Well, okay, so the mail truck just went by, so she let us know. Okay, so I am going to attempt to make the big, beautiful bakery style blueberry muffins. Okay, so we want to preheat the oven to 425. So before you do anything, preheat your oven to 425. Okay, so I lined my muffin tins with liners, and the recipe says it will make 12 muffins. So first we're going to do the streusel, and it is a 1/4 cup of sugar, a tablespoon of all-purpose flour, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, and 2 tablespoons of butter. And this is unsalted butter that I melted. So I'm going to mix this all together, and then you put it aside. And all the directions and recipe will be in my blog and in the description box. So this is the streusel topping part. My bird agrees. Okay, that was the butter, the unsalted butter. And I'm going to mix it up. I used salted butter one time on my turkey for Thanksgiving. Let me tell you, it was very, very, very salty. And I ended up putting a potato in the drippings to cut down on the salt so I could have a gravy. So one of my guests was in the kitchen helping me with the turkey and the gravy, and they said, you know, this is a little salty. And I said, no. And so I looked at the butter package, and it was salted butter, and I had put it on my turkey, and the drippings were, so I used the potato trick, and it seemed to cut down on the salt. Nobody seemed to say anything about the salt. And the potato trick is you cut up a potato and you put it into the drippings, and it's supposed to soak in all the salt. Did it work? I don't know, but nobody said anything, and it was a very memorable Thanksgiving and one I will cherish forever. But make sure you know if you're using salted or unsalted butter so you don't have the same situation as I did. I'm not quite sure what you would even use salted butter for, but I make sure I always buy unsalted. I also want to add that in the directions it says to grease the entire muffin tin because the strudel and everything go over onto the pan. It didn't say anything about liners, but I'm using liners, so I will let you know. It didn't say anything about not to use them, but didn't say anything about using them. All the comments didn't even mention it, but I did butter the pan, and then I put the liners in. So that's what I did. We'll see if it works or not. Okay, so for the dry ingredients, it's 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, and then it is a tablespoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of baking soda, and then it is a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then you're going to mix this together, and we'll go from there. Okay, so next I did the wet ingredients, which was a 1/2 cup of melted butter cooled, a cup of sugar, 2 large eggs, a tablespoon of vanilla, and a cup of milk. And I mix that all together. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine the wet. Okay, like I was saying, I'm going to combine the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients, and you fold it with a spatula. And then when it's all mixed in, then you fold in your blueberries. So I will do that now, and I will be back. Okay, so the directions said to add the wet ingredients to the dry and fold with a spatula until almost all combined. And now, see, it's almost all combined. I'm going to now fold in the blueberries. Okay, so the recipe is calling for 1.5 cups of blueberries, and I might even put more in. So I have my measuring cup here, and I'm going to measure out 1.5 cups. Usually when I follow a recipe for the first time, I follow it completely like it says, but I might just add a few more blueberries to this recipe. So I'm going to add my blueberries, and then we're going to fold them in gently. Okay, so those big, beautiful blueberries are poured in. So I'm going to fold these in very gently, not to ruin the blueberries. Okay, so I have the batter divided into 12 muffin tins, and now I'm going to sprinkle the strudel onto each muffin, and then you put it in the oven at 425 for 5 minutes, and then turn the oven down to 375 for another 15. So we will do that. Okay, so here they are with the strudel sprinkled on them. And in the directions it says you can double the strudel, but I only did it. I didn't double it. Maybe next time. We'll see how this turns out. So I'm about to stick them in the oven at 425 for 5 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. So now I'm going to turn it down to 375 for 15. Okay, the temperature is set, and they are going to cook for 15 minutes. Okay, quick look. 8 minutes left to go. Okay, they are out 15 minutes later, and they look and smell perfect. I'm going to let them cool, and I will let you know how they turned out. So I'm going to let them cool for a little bit, and I will be back. They are looking really good, and it was so easy. It looks like the streusel was like the perfect amount. And again, I will have the recipe in the description box and also on my blog. So I put them on a pretty cake platter, and it covers up nicely. I think here we go. I cannot remember where I got this either, but it's pink, and I love it. So I cut into them to let you see what they look like in the inside, and I have to say they were a hit. Everybody loved them. I froze a few though for later, but they were really, really good. This is a recipe I'm going to keep, and I'm going to share it with you on my blog and in the description box. So these muffins were a win.